Okay, so I'm still at the point of fine-tuning her up, and this is kind of my process. So usually what I do is I primed her all up, I sanded down a lot of areas. As you can kind of see, some of the eaves are starting to show through areas, especially all back here with the hair and all this. I'll probably have to do another prime on the hair and everything just to make sure everything's good. But what I like to do is when I get into face stuff and around edges, whenever I work in Aves and I do a lot of, safety solving with Aves around edges and stuff, it always leaves gunk and little textures and stuff around there. So what I like to use is Garage Kit's Flesh Tone, or if I was going to do it over here as well, use some more Garage Kit's Flesh Tone just to kind of get a base color. It helps me find those errors that I don't see with primer. I don't know why. Just sometimes with primer I really don't see those errors, but when I add on that flesh tone color, I actually get to see those errors, and I'm able to sand them up. So what I did is I did a base coat of flesh, I sanded down a lot of errors, and I did another base coat. So now it pretty much looks smooth. I know that there's nothing really gunky or sitting anywhere. What also happened is over in here it was very, very, very rough with like a lot of dust and stuff. So I also learned while doing this piece that I'm going to have to actually mask off the neck. Usually I wouldn't, but because there's kind of like a cup in here with the hair and the face, the dust and the paint gets caught up in here and it gets very rough and texturized. So I want to make sure that this is going to be smooth, and I don't want to have to try to sand it while hitting the chin after I did all the skin tone. So basically when I'm ready to do the skin tones and everything, I'll put a bunch of silly putty here, and then I'll use some saran wrap around here, and I'll be able to do the skin tones and not worry about all that dust getting everywhere. It's kind of good to do this with certain projects, because you'll learn that, if you're overspraying or you're spraying certain areas, you'll see that maybe some dust and paints will get caught up in a crevice under an armpit, between, an arm and a chest or whatever, and you know that you have to kind of like block that off so the dust doesn't get in there, and then it becomes very rough later on, especially when you use pearls and metallics and stuff like that. So that's where we're at. Keep fine-tuning her up, and then once we're ready to start going, we'll just start working on the eyes and going from there. Okay, so Dark Phoenix is pretty much all set up. I found a lot of spots that I needed to sand down. I did all that. Even though there's some little mess-ups here and there, that's fine because the skin tones is going to be done anyway. So I'm going to start with the eyes first. So I'm going to use Garage Kit's Pure White. It's really good for just the base coat of the eye color. And I'll probably do some in with the teeth too. And then I can use some of the Garage Kit's tongue to go inside the eye areas there. And then once that's all set and dry, I can use watercolor, because if you use a smoother, glossier paint, watercolor doesn't really stick to it too well. So you want some paint that's kind of going to pull in pretty well, because I'm going to be doing it's going to be kind of a bright white eye with the yellow fiery pupils and everything. So it's just a matter of, getting it in. If you really wanted to work a little bit faster, you can use your hair dryer. And the reason for this too, going with the eyes first, because I can use silly putty to mask it out, and then I can do everything else. Because if you mess up with the eyes, it's always harder to kind of fix those at the end. So if you can kind of get them out of the way, it just makes life a little bit easier. Let's grab this again. Now I'm only doing the inside with the teeth because I want to get the teeth a little bit white. I might have to touch them up, but it just helps. Probably go in, with watercolor and get inside the mouth a little bit to get that tongue and darkness in there. So once we get that color down, go to our tongue. Or you could do it the other way. If you want to do the inside of the mouth first and then paint the teeth afterward, you can do that. But it's all depends. So we kind of want to... Well, I'm doing a little bit heavy, but that's okay. Just kind of And go back to the white. Now I got kind of like a little pinkish type stuff going there, as you can kind of see. A little bit closer. Try to get all that tongue color out of the airbrush so we go back to the white. Now she's going to be looking this way, so it won't really be that pinkish on here. We want to kind of get back into the white. And can do whatever I want there because that's just going. So it's just a matter of getting that little bit of a gradation going, and that's kind of what we want to go with. So try to get this light up, see what it looks like. So we got a little bit of a gradation there. Now basically I want to let this set up and dry, and then we can start doing watercolor of the pupils and everything. Alright, we're going to seal up the eyes now. So what I like to use is Pledge Floor Care Polish. It used to be Future, now it's Pledge. Same thing, out of the airbrush. So like I said, since it's watercolor, we got to kind of seal it up. So we're going to seal it up now. Like I said, very lightly at first. You just kind of want to start misting it in. Alright, I'm going to let this sit for, a few minutes, just a little bit. We're going to come back, mist a little bit of pearl on it, and then we'll start sealing it up again. So you got to want to make sure you don't overspray, because even though I hit it with the hair dryer and I'm blow drying it, it still could be a little bit damp, and if you spray too much, you'll start get bleeding, and you don't want to do that. So we just want to keep building up slowly and slowly and slowly. So let's let this sit a little bit. We'll come back and then we'll mix some pearl on it. Alright guys, so I let it sit for a little bit and I mixed up some of this Createx satin pearl with some of the Pledge polish in a little bottle here. And I just kind of tested it on some areas and everything. So I just kind of want to get a little bit of a glossiness and a little bit of a misting. Now, this could be a little bit wet because I put a drop of water in there too. So I just kind of want to heat it up again. And we just kind of want to get a little bit of a, not much, kind of build it up a little. Alright, so I got a little bit of glossiness to it, and I'm still going to clear coat it again, but what happens is it kind of tones down a little white parts a little bit now. So what I want to do is hit those a little bit, just a little bit of a pearl, just to kind of give that sections a little glow. So what I'm going to do is try to get it a little bit closer. I'll hit it with a little bit of white pearl in there, and then we'll come back, we'll clear coat it again, and then I'll put some white dots here and there just to kind of bring it all together. Alright, so right now we're probably getting a little bit of a glare, but we got some glowingness to the eyes a little bit. Let's try to get in a little bit closer. So you kind of see that they're, let's see, we're getting some glows and we're getting, you know, a little bit of highlights and a little bit of flame, you know, stuff. So right now what we'll do is, last step, right, well, at least one of the last steps, is we'll blow dry it again and seal it up again with another gloss coat. Alright, so now I'm going to put some two little dots kind of where I had them in the beginning that they kind of got toned down. Now this is a little tool that's pretty cool. What you do is you just put a little bit of dab of paint and then you put it right onto the eye. It's just what you know, they use for nail polish and stuff when you want to put dots and stuff like that. You get at any kind of thing. So it's kind of hard to see it, but we're going to put a little dots on the eyes kind of where I had them in the beginning. So we get a little bit of dots going there, and then if you want to do a really tiny dot, you can also use a paintbrush. Let's see, we got. And I kind of want to put a little bit of dots over there, so we'll take the paintbrush and we'll put a little white dot over here, little white dot over here. And then, if you really want to add a little bit more, we can add one here. Alright, put my hand over the head so now we can see what the eyes are looking like. So we got a nice sinister eyes, they're glowing. I might do another clear coat here or there before I actually start painting up the rest of her. So that's just pretty much the eyes so far. Let's turn her this way so you can kind of see. So we kind of got the pupils there. But we got a sinister comic book type look that they're kind of glowing and she's like pissed off. So there you go. That's eyes now with watercolor. So I'll seal this up a few more times and I'll let this dry for a day or so because I don't like even though I use the blow dryer and I seal it and stuff, I don't like pushing my luck and putting something on there and then maybe in the silly putty there was a piece of flake or something that gets stuck in there because it was still a little soft. So I like to, take my time and make sure I'm doing it correctly. So there you go. That's the eye so far. Like I said, it's kind of hard to see with the reflecting and everything, but that's what we got. So we'll come back next when we start doing the skin tone.